Alright, so welcome back to the channel. We'll do another thing today here. So if you're looking to replace your front universals, right in there, right, and they're busted, they're gone, they're rusted, I'm going to show you how to replace them. I'm going to do step by step. So first thing is obviously take the wheel off, and then you have, some of these are nuts and bolts, some of them are a hex. This one's a 13 millimeter. All right, so you got two 13 millimeters, one there and one on the bottom. Take the caliper off. Start with that. Take the caliper off. You'll be able to take the rotor off. Okay, you don't have to take the bracket off, but the rotor will come off. And then I'll show you what to do next. In the meantime, while we're doing other stuff, you want to start spraying things down. You're going to spray down the ball joints, upper and lower ball joint. Okay, especially on these old Jeeps, they're all rusted up. So make sure you spray them down pretty good. This stuff works great. I don't know if you guys ever use it. It's expensive as all get out, but it works awesome. Alright, so let's start with that. Alright, so you take the caliper off, lay the caliper up there so you don't put any stress on the hose. The rotor comes right off. And now the fun part starts. So you got to take these bolts are on the inside, right? I believe they're 13 millimeter. Yep, 13 millimeter. Same thing. Let's spray all this down. I'm gonna let that soak in because these look really, really rusty. See if you can see that. Okay. And we're gonna let that soak in for a little while. I'm going to take this off so that I can move this around and get behind it. I might be able to put the impact gun on it on the back. Right? So the way you take these off is basically you're removing the cotter pin. Again, everything's all rotted. There ain't much okay, nothing left of that thing. This should be like a 19 3/4, nope, 11/16. I'm gonna go get that, put that on the impact gun, zip that off. All right. My favorite wrench. And that's how that comes off. Move that out of your way. Now this will be able to turn. Oh yeah, now you really see it. That thing's gone. Okay. So hopefully these will come off. That whole hub assembly will come off. Yep. So I'm going to take this off. Don't have to take the ball joints off. Alright, so let's see, same thing. Rusty cotter pin. Get the cotter pin off. And spray that down a little bit. Alright. And this should come off. That, like that. And keep working it till it comes out. And like that. Okay. And we'll put all new cotter pins and stuff in it. This cage comes off. This little spring clip comes off. Looks like that. We'll go get the socket for that and zip that off. Okay, so you'll need a 38 millimeter for that, and a 12 point for that. Okay, they're so rusty. We'll get them on there. All right, this one I'm going to zip off now. Hopefully that comes off. Wow, that came right off. That's cool. That came right off. And now you could see it's loose. So if we could get this hub off, we're home free. And then I'll show you how to change the U-joint. So let me see if I get this thing off next. Alright, so had to beat the socket onto it and then beat the socket off it. Okay, we got those out finally. I'm letting that soak. I whacked this thing a few times already. It ain't coming off right that yet. So that part's loose right there, but that's the bearing, so we don't want that. We want that to come off. So I'm gonna let that soak for a little while. I'm gonna go get the U-joint, and then when I come back, I'll try putting a chisel in between here and see if I can pry that off. If not, we're gonna have to heat it with the torch. All right, so to get this thing is shot, okay? To get this off, there's little, see that little clip in there? There's one in all four corners. You take a little chisel and a hammer and you hit it so it comes out. So you need to take all four of those clips off. So when you get the new one, and you want to use a good brand because you don't want to be doing this again. Okay, so the clips look like that. They sit inside this groove. So I'm going to take this little C-clips out, and then I'll show you what I got to do next. So if you look at it, right, you got a little chisel like this, and you basically beat it out. Okay. Same thing on this side. You got to get behind it like that in there, and then hit it at that angle until you knock that C-clip out. This one and this one will come out pretty quick. The rusty one might break, but you still got to chisel it out. All right, got all the little clips out. Now what you do is you're going to hold this like this. You're going to take this and let it sit in a vise or between two nice big strong something that you're going to whack it with, and you're going to crack this down. You'll be hitting it here, and this will pop out. All right, that's the first part. You can see they're junk. So by putting it in the vise and then you're hitting it here, and it knocks it out. I'm going to see if I can show you how with it like this. Okay. Basically, you're hitting this, and you'll see the top of the joint start coming out. You're got that supported there. And you can see that starting to come up like that. Flip it back over. Same thing. Kind of hard to do with one hand. So let me get it off. I don't know what my boys did with my stand. I don't know what they did with it. So, and nobody's here to video. So let me do this and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right. So you got all the caps off. Get the U-joint out. Got one side. This thing is so rusted. I'm going to grind all that off so don't get on nothing. That's off, so we're going to clean the hole out. You take the caps off, you put one in, put the joint in the middle of it, put the other one in, and these get pressed together. You could press it together with the vise, you could tap it in with a socket, okay, either way. And then you put the other piece on it, the crossover, same thing, put one cap on, lay it up in place, put the other cap on, press it together. Alright, so got the new joint installed. Cut that rusty ring off of there, got rid of that thing. So, just stick this back in here, make sure all this is cleaned out, put it all back together. So first thing is going in there. This is good. A lot of times this has a seal, all right, because you got gear oil in there. Sometimes this seal goes bad, so you got to watch that. You'll see it'll have a groove in it. This one's nice, this one's good. So we're going to put this back together. And then make sure that the gear oil is topped off when we're all done. Alright, so the axle's in. This, we're going to wire brush all this clean. As you saw how I had to chisel it out. So we're going to wire brush all this clean. Put a little grease on here so that goes back in. I'm going to take the axle back out actually and wire brush this piece in here too. We'll do that. Alright, so got the bolts back on, greased them up, made them tight. Nice. Now we got nice smooth action going here. That's good. Alright, so you got to put the washer. And then you're going to a little bit of grease on there. And put the nut back on it. If I could find it. In the socket. Okay, so you got the nut back on there. Alright, tighten that back up. Alright, so you got the nut. Tighten the nut up, put the little spring clip on it. You line up the cage nut with the hole so it fits in one of the holes. Alright, right there. We're going to get a new cotter pin for that. Put that back on, put the nut back on there, tighten that up, put a new cotter pin on there. Alright, cotter pins are on. And put the rotor back on it. Okay. Put the rotor back on it. Put the caliper back on it. Tighten up the bolts. Alright, so caliper is going to go back on, 13 millimeter. Alright, so caliper is back on, 2 13 millimeter bolts, tighten that back down, and you're pretty much done. You put the wheel back on, get the lug nuts all tightened back up. I'll let it back down where it's level, and then I'm going to check that's how you check. You open that up right there, make sure that you got enough gear oil in it. Alright? And that should take care of that. Alright, there you have it. Front end is all greased, oil's checked, and ready to go. Hope that helps somebody. I know the video quality wasn't that great, holding the thing by hand and trying to work on it, but hopefully you figured out how to do it and that helped you out a little bit. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again.